Hi, how's it going? All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Feferman. I am the COO of Gamersaloon.com, an online platform where you can play the games you want against friends for money, and as well the head of esports at Dot City Gaming. So happy to be here with you guys, and let's get into some of the questions. So right out of the gate, why did you get into the gaming industry, and what are you doing now? For me, it happened about like 5, 6 years ago. I started investing in esports just as an investor, as a lot of companies started to, raise capital and go public. And then around the same time, this is probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago, uh, really saw that a lot of companies were just in one vertical. They were esports tournaments or venues or things like that, and really lacked sort of an ecosystem. And so started a company to sort of build a cohesive ecosystem. Um, and that was called the Mookie Esports. And now, like I just said, yeah, running as the chief operating officer for Gamer Saloon and the head of esports for Dot City, which is a competitive and content esports team that is purely focused on sports games, Madden, FIFA, NBA 2K, NHL, and great games like that. So, as the CEO of Gamer Saloon, what are some of the key trends that I see emerging in the gaming and esports industry over the next few years? Um, I think you got to kind of start with the top of the ecosystem. So, if we look at the games themselves, are going to radically change. I think sort of the traditional AAA games that are dominating the esports scene now are definitely not going to be the same games that are dominating in 5 years. I think we're going to have new categories, and I think it's going to be way more fragmented. So if you think about maybe there's 10, 10 or so games that have a really noticeable or sizable esports scene, I think that number is going to balloon to 20, 30, even more. We're going to see a lot more mobile games. We're going to see a lot more AR and VR games. And I think just generally speaking, PC gaming in and of itself is going to be on the decline. How do you think the growing popularity of streaming and esports will impact the gaming industry in the next few years, and how do you plan to capitalize on these trends? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Listen, if we look at the esports and gaming ecosystem, you have the game publishers and devs that are at the top, and they're the gods. They run the scene. But definitely in that sort of subordinate position or the number two position would be the streaming sites, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Facebook here in North America. And that is how people are going to learn about games, play games, and be a part of the community is through streaming. So it's going to get bigger and better. I think more and more people that are not streaming are going to become streaming. And I think that people that are maybe big influencers and under other industries are going to be moving to the big platforms. Case in point, whether it's actors or movie star or recording artists or TV personalities, athletes, they're now getting on Twitch. I always kind of give this example. Um, I like basketball, so if I'm going to follow someone like, let's say, Kyle Lowry plays for the Miami Heat, my sort of interaction with him is just the game. Maybe a little bit, maybe an interview here, an interview there at practice. But these athletes, if they really want to build a base and really engage in their community, they're going to be on Twitch. They're going to start streaming their workouts and streaming their practices and things like that. They're going to get way more engaged. And that's how I think the streaming economy is going to be radically different from what we're seeing now. In terms of how we as a company want to capitalize on it is really that. I mean, we're building a team of some of the best content creators in what we think are the best sports games to be in, whether it's with Madden or FIFA or 2K or PGA Tour. So if you are interested in sports games, sports video games, we want to make sure that we have the streamers that everyone's watching, and that gives us the audience to then sort of go to our sponsors and say, hey, if you want to reach this demographic that is looking at that's watching esports and watching gaming content, in the sports realm within that demographic, then you're going to go through Dot City and watch and be supporting our streams. take a sip. As head of esports at Dot City Gaming, how do you approach building and managing a successful esports team? It's really, you got to have balance. I think the biggest mistake that we see from a lot of esports team is they go out, they have access to some capital, maybe they raised a seed round or something, or through some investment banking, they spend on these expensive teams, players, rosters, houses, and there isn't really a viable business model to back it. I think for us, we want to make sure we move in step with our sponsors. So as we have a great group of guys right now. We have 10 streamers and content creators and competitors on our team. And as we get more and more sponsors, we'll grow incrementally. But I think the problem when you try to go all out, sign these teams, and hopefully the sponsors are going to come, it's an extremely risky and I think irresponsible business model. The other thing is, even to that point, is I think the business model has to change. It can't just be a sponsor generated model. You need to be able to figure out how to better monetize your audience and your community. And I think you got to be able to provide value to your audience in which they are going to pay in some capacity for the content that they're watching. So whether it's kind of more of a sub-only model or Patreon model, is you got to figure out how to be able to deliver value content that is of extreme value to your community and be able to monetize it from them versus totally and solely relying on sponsors. How do I see the role of virtual and augmented reality in the esports industry evolving in the coming years? Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. If you look at Veil, VR, which is developed here in Miami, it's amazing where sort of the AAA shooter games are going to go. I'm a little bit more excited, sort of on the health, wellness, and sports side. If you look at Zwift, for example, to me, Zwift is an awesome platform. It's an awesome concept where, hey, if I'm going to go for a ride on a stationary bike or on a treadmill, that to me is an extremely boring activity. I think a lot of people can relate. But now all of a sudden, if I'm running on the treadmill and I'm seeing in real time my friends running with me, against me, we're competing, we're doing a race, it just adds an incredible new, it gamifies, working out, health and fitness in a way that we just never thought could be possible. So I'm definitely more excited on how sort of that augmented the AR or the integration with health and wellness is going to impact the industry. How do I see the role of mobile gaming in the esports evolving? Yeah, in the coming years. Listen, in North America, we have a elitist PC master race attitude where PC gaming rules all, or even consoles, and mobile gaming is a inferior gaming experience and things like that. And I think the problem is that there are so many pay to win mobile games that gamers have really, looked at the whole industry as, not legitimate. And so I think what we need to see is, more authentic mobile games that have the potential to be esports outside of the games that were developed for PC and just have a mobile version. So if mobile gaming is just going to be Call of Duty mobile and PUBG mobile and Rocket League mobile and games that are really sort of intended to be based on PC or console and have just been adapted for mobile, it's going to be seen as an inferior gaming experience versus if we take games like, I don't know if Free Fire is the best example, but games that are built mobile first with a mobile ecosystem are going to be more successful. At the end of the day, I don't think, let's put it this way, the console for sure is gone. The PS5, this iteration, maybe there'll be a couple updates to it, but this is the end. It's really going to be sort of a PC, mobile, or let's call it cloud gaming and mobile gaming experience moving forward. So the technology is going to make mobile gaming better. And I think with that, the numbers are going to be better for players and for esports. How do I see the trend of gamification and the use of mini games for brand engagement evolving in the next year? Yeah, listen, how many times have you been on a a Shopify site, and just spinning the wheel to win something, gets you to give your email and subscribe, right? Like we will do, we're willing, I think, as consumers to give information for for a gaming experience. I think recently Starbucks had a really, that's another great case study, where over the Christmas they built a game and you could play every day and try to get a little bit faster. It was whatever, some sort of little jumping game. So brands will continue to develop that, and I think when we've seen brands actually do activations in game, it's been amazing. Whether it's brands like Wendy's or not Wendy's, sorry, Chipotle, um, things like that, where you could provide an experience in game where you get a real life coupon to order food, etc. So I think that's also going to be even bigger, where brands are going to be inside the game offering value to gamers. Have you heard, and what do you think about game studios using blockchain technology to facilitate fundraising or the secondary market of in-game assets? A lot to unpack with this question. We kind of seen in general game publishers and sort of be on one side of this debate or the other, whether it's Steam saying we're not interested and Ubisoft saying we are interested. Everyone kind of wants to figure it out. At the same time, in my opinion, I think the play to earn games have largely been very scammy, and I kind of think there's going to be big retreat in that. But the benefits are there. I mean, I play Fortnite, for example. That's it. I buy a skin and it's stuck in that ecosystem and I can't get it out. I can't buy it. I can't sell it. I can't trade it. I can't do anything. So some games have done a better job of creating an on-ramp and off-ramp for in-game cosmetics. I think blockchain is necessary to be able to really democratize the store and make that available to everyone. And it should be across all games, all platforms. I think that's what gamers want to see, that they can build a digital wallet of in-game cosmetics that they can store in one place, that they can buy, sell, and trade across one consistent and transparent platform. How has GamerSaloon adapted to the changes, and what strategies do you have to continue to be successful in the future? Yeah, I think for us, it's things like expanding the games that we offer. Recently we added VR games and retro games. So if you wanted to play Black Hole Pool or for VR or Totally Baseball, some of the VR sports games, you can now go on gamersaloon.com, play against people for money, and do that, which you really couldn't have done 3 weeks ago. And same with retro gaming. We've added NHL 94, 95, Kangaroo Beach Juniors baseball. So we want to be able to support smaller but growing gaming communities. So that's been a big strategy. And at the same time, with just like any technology company, we're always striving to improve and better the user experience, listening to our community, understanding what they want, how we can make it better, so that people can continue to use GamerSaloon in a way that excites them, that gives them the excitement of playing against friends or other people for real money. What advice do I have for aspiring game devs looking to break into the industry for the next few years? I think this advice is going to be specific to really anyone who wants to get into the esports gaming blockchain industry. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. I'll give you just a perfect example that I think sort of highlights this. I taught a class, a university class for esports, and each week I brought in some pretty big name speakers. So now these students had the opportunity to, and this is during COVID as well, so it's kind of hard to get out there, network, shake hands, etc. And some students just didn't want to even put their face cam on and didn't engage. Like, you got to take advantage of your opportunities, and whether they're online with conferences like this, or IRL. This is all about relationships. It's all about networking, and you got to make sure you make the best first impression. And for the students that just didn't even bother to put on their face cam, these speakers will never remember these students. But for the couple that did and asked engaging questions and got value out of it, hey, if down the line they need to ask a favor or some advice from some of these bigger industry veterans, they're going to remember them because they made the effort and they made a good first impression. So get out there, network, make a good impression. Um, and the last thing I'll add is try to be a thought leader, whether it's creating content on LinkedIn or Twitter or Twitch. If you want to be known, if you want to make a name for yourself, you've got to speak at conferences like this, and things like that. So uh, find a niche, find your voice, and be a thought, be an authority in your industry.